Hi guys, it's Rachelle here. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Today in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my January TBR. If you're unfamiliar with what a TBR is, it is a list of books that I want to read this month. I've set my reading goal to 35 books this year. I'm really hoping that I can actually reach my goal by the end of the year. Last year in 2022, I didn't reach my reading goal, so I am so much more determined to reach my reading goal this year. It is going to happen. I'm going to stay positive about it. For the month of January, I decided to not make my TBR super extensive. I narrowed it down to 5 books. I think reading 5 books is a doable accomplishment this month, and I'm really excited to share with you the 5 books I picked out for this month's TBR. But before I tell you all the books, if you guys haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon to stay up to date of when and what I post, and give this video a thumbs up. And without further ado, let's get into my January TBR. The first book on my January TBR is The Alchemist. This book is a classic, so I actually have never been into reading classics. It's just a genre that's never been easy for me to read, so that's why unfortunately I've never really got into it. Like, I really want to get into reading classics, but it's just so hard for me because I'm really not a fan of Old English. But it's the start of 2023, and in this year, I kind of want to push myself to try new things, read new things, so I'm going to push myself to try and read a classic novel, and I am choosing The Alchemist to introduce me to the classic genre. This book is about a shepherd boy named Santiago who travels from his homeland in Spain to the Egyptian desert in search of a treasure buried near the pyramids. Along the way, he meets a gypsy woman, a man who calls himself king, and an alchemist, all of whom point Santiago in the direction of his quest. No one knows what the treasure is or if Santiago will be able to surmount the obstacles in his path, but what starts out as a journey to find worldly goods turns into a discovery of treasure found within. Lush, evocative, and deeply humane, the story of Santiago is an eternal testament to the transforming power of our dreams and the importance of listening to our hearts. This book sounds like a really inspiring read, and I definitely think it's a good book to start the year with, you know, starting the year on a high note. Yeah, so I kind of actually think I might enjoy reading this book, but I guess only time will tell. This book is actually quite short, so I don't think it will be hard for me to read. At least I'm really hoping it's not going to be hard for me to read. Who knows, if I end up liking this book a lot, it might encourage me to read more classics in the future. The next book on my TBR is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This book is a mystery thriller novel, and I've heard so many good things about it. I've actually only recently gotten into reading mystery thrillers. I don't know, books in the mystery thriller genre just wasn't really my thing until I picked up and read my first mystery thriller novel in like November or December, and I absolutely loved it. And since then, I've actually decided to buy a few more mystery thriller novels, one of them being this book, just because I've just found a new love and interest for this genre. In this story, things have been wrong with Mr. and Mrs. Wright for a long time. Every anniversary, the couple exchanges traditional gifts, and Adam's wife writes him a letter she never lets him read. Until now. Self-confessed workaholic Adam Wright has face blindness. He can't even recognize his own wife, and Amelia is sick of feeling unseen. When Adam and Amelia went a weekend away to Scotland, it might be just what their marriage needs. This weekend may make or break their marriage, but they didn't randomly win this trip. One of them is lying and someone doesn't want them to live happily ever after. This book sounds so juicy and so good, and I can't wait to read it. It also seems like a very fast-paced mystery, and I love fast-paced books. These books just keep me on the edge of my seat, and it definitely feels like this book will be a page-turner. The next book on my TBR is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is a sci-fi fantasy novel. I got this book so long ago, maybe like 2 years ago, and I've just never picked it up. I honestly don't know why I never read it. I guess I've just never been motivated to read this for some reason. But this month might be the month where I actually pick this book up. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I will actually get to this book. This book is about Spensa, whose world has been under attack for decades. Now pilots are the heroes of what's left of the human race, and becoming one has always been Spensa's dream. But her fate is intertwined with that of her father, a pilot himself who was killed years ago when he abruptly deserted his team, leaving Spensa's chances of attending flight school at slim to none. No one will let Spensa forget what her father did, yet fate works in mysterious ways, and an accidental discovery in a long-forgotten cavern might just provide her with a way to claim the stars. This story actually seems like it showcases a wild adventure, and I definitely think it'll be an enjoyable read, and I've also heard so many good things about Brandon Sanderson, so I think I might actually enjoy this book. I just have to pick it up and read it. it. I guess the reason why I've been kind of putting this book off and a little hesitant to pick it up is because this book is actually a series. I believe this book is a trilogy. Let me double check. Yeah, this series is currently a trilogy and there's a fourth book on the way later this year. So it is kind of a big series, or at least it's getting there. And with my busy work schedule, it's been really hard to read more books. So because I've been pretty busy, I've been drifting away from series and going more for standalone books. It's just when I'm not able to read a lot of books, I don't really want to read a really long story that spans across multiple books. For me, I'm that type of person. When I pick up a book in a series, I want to read all of the books in that series consecutively, like one after the other, so I have a full understanding of the entire world and story. Because if I leave time in between each book, or I pick up another book in the middle of a series, I might actually forget the characters and the world, and then when I go back to the series, I just might not be super engaged in the story because I kind of already forgot what happened in the last book of the series because I took time in between reading each book. Yeah, so with my busy work schedule, that's why I don't really like reading series, and therefore that's why I lean more to standalone books, because I won't have that issue. But I finally think it's time to pick up this book, and hopefully I will find time to read all 3 books in the series so far, and I'm really hoping I enjoy it. The next book I picked up is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is a romance novel, and I decided to add this to my January TBR because romance novels are usually happy, sweet stories, and in my January TBR so far, I don't have a happy, sweet novel, so I thought this book would be a great addition to my January TBR. This is one of TJR's older novels. This would actually be the second older novel I've read of hers. The first older novel I read of theirs is One True Loves. I thought it was an enjoyable read, but it just wasn't as good as her historical fiction novels, so I'm not really sure what to expect of this novel, but I really hope I like it. This book follows Elsie Porter, who is an average 20-something, and yet what happens to her is anything but ordinary. On a rainy New Year's Day, she heads out to pick up a pizza for one. She isn't expecting to see anyone else in the shop, much less the adorable and charming Ben Ross. Their chemistry is instant and electric. Ben cannot even wait 24 hours before asking to see her again. Within weeks, the two are head over heels in love. By May, they've eloped. Only 9 days later, Ben is out riding his bike when he is hit by a truck and killed on impact. Elsie hears the sirens outside her apartment, but by the time she gets downstairs, he has already been whisked off to the hospital. There she must face Suzanne, the mother-in-law she has never met, and who doesn't even know Elsie exists. Interweaving Elsie and Ben's charmed romance with Elsie and Suzanne's healing process, Forever Interrupted will remind you that there's more than one way to find a happy ending. Okay, from the back of this book actually sounds quite different from most romance stories, and I'm kind of intrigued. Like most romance novels, there's a happy ending because the couple ends up together. But in this book, the couple doesn't seem like they end up together because one of them is dead. So what kind of happy ending is in this romance novel? I don't know. But I am excited to read it to see what happens. Okay, so the last book on my January TBR is Factory Girls by Michelle Gallen. This book was actually sent to me by Aardvark Book Club. If you don't know what Aardvark Book Club is, it is a new book subscription box, kind of just like Book of the Month. Yeah, so Aardvark was kind enough to send me this book last month, and I decided to add it to my January TBR. This is a historical fiction novel. In the story, it's the summer of 1994, and all smart-mouthed Maeve Murray wants are good final exam results so she can earn her ticket out of the wee northern Irish town she has grown up in during the Troubles. She hopes she will soon be in London studying journalism, away from her crowded home, the silence and sadness surrounding her sister's death, and most of all, away from violence of her divided community. As a first step, Maeve's taken a job in a shirt factory working alongside Protestants, but getting the right exam results is only part of Maeve's problem. She's got to survive a tit-for-tat paramilitary campaign, iron 100 shirts an hour all day, every day, and deal with the attention of Handy Andy Strawbridge, her untrustworthy English boss. Then, as the British Loyalist marching season raises tensions among the Catholic and Protestant workforce, Maeve realizes something is going on behind the scenes at the factory. What seems to be a great opportunity to earn money turns out to be a crucible in which Maeve faces the test of a lifetime. Seeking justice for herself and her fellow workers may just be Maeve's one-way ticket out of town. This book seems like it showcases a badass female character, and I'm so here for it. And all of last year, I've been so interested in reading historical fiction novels, and I'm still interested in them, so I think I will definitely love this book a lot. Alright guys, those are all the books I have in my January TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what I picked up for my myself for my reading list this month, I'm actually only realizing now that every book in this TBR is from a different genre. That was totally not intentional at all, but I'm so here for it because I definitely want to diversify my reading this year, and I think adding books in a different genre to my January TBR is a great start to diversify my reading this year. I am really hoping that I can read all 5 books this month, and I'm really excited to see where my reading journey goes this year. I do have set reading goals, but you know, life changes on their own in a whole bunch of different ways, and I definitely think the same thing of reading as well. I just think throughout the year my interest will change, which ultimately means my book choices and reading goals will change along the way as well. It could be seen as a bad thing, but it could also be seen as a very good thing as well. I mean, it's always exciting to see change and growth, so I'm really pumped and excited to see what happens with my reading this year. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this short little video. If you guys are still watching, thank you for sticking all the way to the end. It really means a lot to me. If you guys haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. There will definitely be more book videos on my channel, so if you're into that, definitely subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want to stay up to date with what I'm currently reading, be sure to follow me on Goodreads. I will have the link to my profile in the description box below. Okay, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!
Pull the key out the ignition. Run your mouth but I never listen. You hold me back, will never last. Keep talking all your shit. Wondering how all this started. You left me broken hearted. You flip my words, yeah, this love hurts. Keep talking all your shit.